Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. Welcome to day 665. Kevin McCarthy won the Republican nomination for Speaker of the House with 188 votes from the caucus in a secret ballot vote. Assuming that Republicans take control of the chamber, McCarthy will need to win at least 218 votes on the House floor in January to earn the Speaker's gavel. Republicans are currently one seat short of the majority in the House, with 13 races still uncalled, including 4 in which the Republican candidates lead. In the Senate, Rick Scott says he plans to challenge Mitch McConnell for minority leader. McConnell, however, is expected to retain support from the majority of his conference. Trump, meanwhile, is expected to announce a third consecutive presidential campaign tonight from Mar-a-Lago. Moving on, the director of the CIA warned his Russian counterpart against the use of nuclear weapons in Ukraine. The National Security Council said Bill Burns' meeting was part of an ongoing effort by the United States to, quote, communicate with Russia on managing risk, end quote, and was not in any way to negotiate or to discuss any settlement of the war in Ukraine. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has also been in touch with his Russian counterparts about the consequences of Russia using a nuclear weapon in Ukraine. Russia has already launched roughly 100 missiles aimed primarily at Ukraine's electrical infrastructure. 2 Russian missiles, however, missed Ukraine entirely and landed about 4 miles north in Poland. Back in the United States, the Customs and Border Protection Commissioner resigned after a standoff with Biden's Homeland Security Secretary. Chris Magnus initially refused to step down after both Alejandro Mayorkas, the Homeland Security Secretary, and the department's Deputy Secretary asked him to resign. CBP staff reportedly had lost confidence in him. Magnus served in the job for less than a year. In other news, federal prosecutors closed their investigation into whether Rudy Giuliani violated U.S. lobbying laws while doing business in Ukraine, and no criminal charges will be brought. After more than 2 years, prosecutors wrote that, quote, based on information currently available to the government, criminal charges are not forthcoming, end quote. And finally, U.S. intelligence reports found that the United Arab Emirates attempted to steer U.S. foreign policy in its favor through a series of legal and illegal activities. The classified report reveals that the UAE spent more than $154 million on lobbyists since 2016 to exploit the vulnerabilities in American governance, and they also spent hundreds of millions of dollars on donations to American universities and think tanks. In one exploit, the UAE hired 3 former U.S. intelligence and military officials to surveil dissidents, politicians, journalists, and U.S. companies, as well as break into computers in the United States and other countries. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditis.